Trump's supporters have been quick to defend the 50% tariff on Indian goods, arguing that it represents a necessary and long overdue step in the fight for fair trade. They say the move sends a clear message that the United States will no longer tolerate what it perceives as one-sided deals that favor other countries at the expense of American workers. For many of Trump's allies, this is not just about economics but about national pride, strength, and the idea that America should negotiate from a position of power. They claim that India has enjoyed decades of easy access to the American market, while American businesses have been blocked by tariffs, quotas, and regulatory obstacles when trying to sell in India. By imposing such a large tariff, Trump is forcing India to reconsider its stance and, in the eyes of his base, protecting American industry from being undercut by cheaper imports. The decision also ties directly into the broader America First agenda, which has been the defining feature of Trump's presidency. This philosophy prioritizes domestic production, job creation, and the rebuilding of industries that many believe have been hollowed out by globalization. Supporters of the tariff argue that if Indian goods become more expensive, U.S. companies may have an incentive to expand local production, reopen factories, or hire more American workers. Even if that process takes time, they see the tariff as an investment in the long-term health of the American economy. For Trump's political base, which includes manufacturing communities that have faced decline, the symbolism of standing up to a major foreign competitor is just as important as the economic outcome. Still, the risks cannot be ignored. Economists caution that India is not just another trade partner but one of the fastest-growing economies in the world and an essential ally in the broader geopolitical landscape. Damaging economic ties could spill into diplomatic and security relations, areas where the U.S. and India have cooperated against common challenges like China's rise and regional instability. Some critics within the U.S. government warn that overly aggressive trade tactics could push India closer to other powers, potentially undermining America's strategic influence in Asia. They argue that while the tariff may offer short-term leverage, it could weaken long-term partnerships that are vital for both countries. Meanwhile, in India, the response has been sharp and emotional. Officials have called the tariff unjust and damaging to the spirit of cooperation that the two countries have built over the years. For India, access to the American market is not just an economic opportunity but a cornerstone of its development strategy. Indian leaders fear that the tariff will hurt export-driven industries that employ millions of people, including vulnerable groups in the textile and small manufacturing sectors. Some economists in India warn that the measure could slow down growth, reduce foreign investment, and spark layoffs in industries that have relied heavily on American demand. The Indian media has also framed the decision as a blow to trust, painting it as a unilateral move that ignores years of partnership and dialogue. The political leadership in New Delhi now faces a dilemma. On one hand, it must protect national pride and show strength in the face of American pressure. On the other hand, it cannot afford to completely alienate the United States, which remains one of India's most important partners in trade, security, and technology. This balance is difficult to strike, and already there are discussions about possible retaliatory tariffs on American goods. Such a move could include agricultural imports like almonds or apples, which are significant exports to India, as well as industrial products. While retaliation may satisfy domestic calls for a strong response, it risks escalating the dispute into a tit-for-tat trade war. For ordinary Indians, the concern goes beyond diplomacy and economics. Workers in factories, farmers who rely on export markets, and families dependent on jobs in the technology sector all worry about what the new tariffs will mean for their livelihoods. At the same time, American consumers and businesses are also bracing for higher prices and supply chain disruptions. Both societies are deeply interconnected, and any breakdown in trade affects real people on both sides of the ocean. The future of this dispute remains uncertain. Optimists hope that the tariff will serve as a wake-up call that brings both sides back to the negotiating table to create a more balanced agreement. Pessimists fear that pride, politics, and nationalism will make compromise difficult, leading to greater division. What is certain is that the introduction of the tariff has already reshaped the conversation about U.S.-India relations. It is no longer just about numbers on a trade balance sheet. It has become a test of political will, national identity, and the ability of two democracies to resolve disputes without allowing them to spiral into broader conflict.